The financial plan exists. The number is there. The date is circled. The accounts are in order. Gen X has spent decades building toward a specific moment, and the moment is finally approaching. But there's a set of things nobody mentioned. Not the advisor, not the retirement calculator, not the books about index funds and safe withdrawal rates. The things that actually make retirement hard aren't in any of those places. They arrive in the first month, sometimes the first week, and they hit harder than any market correction ever did, because they weren't in the plan at all. Today we go through all of them. Like, subscribe, and let's start. Number 1. The identity that disappears on day 1. Here's something nobody says out loud. Work isn't just income. It's structure, status, purpose, social contact. The answer to "what do you do?" which, whether anyone admits it or not, is one of the primary ways adults understand themselves and present themselves to the world. Research psychologist Marie Jahoda identified 5 core psychological functions that employment provides: time structure, social contact, collective purpose, social status, and regular activity. 5 separate psychological needs, all being met simultaneously by the same job. 5 things that feel entirely invisible until the day they all disappear at once. Retirement removes all 5 on the same morning, and nothing automatically replaces them. The calendar is suddenly empty. Not relaxingly empty, disturbingly empty. The phone stops ringing with the urgency it carried for 3 decades. The inbox quiets. The meetings disappear. And in the silence where Monday morning used to be, a question arrives that most people weren't prepared for. Who am I now? Gen X is particularly vulnerable here. This is the generation that built its identity around work more thoroughly than any before it. They were the ones who stayed late, who checked email on weekends, who defined themselves through titles and outputs and the relentless forward motion of a career. The career stops. The identity doesn't automatically update. And that gap, between the person who existed through work and the person who has to exist without it, is one of the most disorienting experiences retirement actually delivers. Not to everyone, but to far more people than the financial plan ever accounted for. Number 2. The spending that goes up, not down. Here's the assumption built into almost every retirement plan. I'll spend less. The mortgage is paid, the kids are independent, the commute is gone, I won't need as much. It's wrong, and the research is specific about why. Financial researcher David Blanchett published a study through Morningstar in 2013, documenting what he called the retirement spending smile. The pattern observed across thousands of retirees is consistent. Spending in early retirement, roughly the first decade, is significantly higher than pre-retirement levels, not lower. Not because of poor planning, because retirement is expensive when it's actually lived. The travel that was deferred for decades, the hobbies that finally have time to develop into real pursuits with real costs, the grandchildren who need things, the house that suddenly needs attention during all the hours previously spent away from it, the restaurants, the experiences, the purchases that represent the freedom that was earned. Early retirement, when health and energy are at their highest, tends to cost approximately 15% to 20% more per month than the working years immediately before it. On a pre-retirement budget of $4,500 per month, that's approximately $5,400 per month in early retirement. An extra $900 per month, $10,800 per year more than the plan projected. Over 5 years of active, engaged early retirement, $54,000 unplanned. And this isn't a failure of discipline. It's the predictable result of finally having time to spend money on things that were always on the list. The spending plan that assumed retirement would be cheaper was built around a version of retirement that involves sitting at home instead of living. Most Gen X people don't intend to sit at home. Most retirement plans budget for someone who does. Number 3. The relationship nobody prepared for. Here's the one that genuinely surprises people. 2 people, 30 years of marriage, a schedule that naturally kept them apart for 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. A relationship built around dinners, weekends, holidays, and the comfortable absence that filled the hours in between. Retirement removes the absence. Suddenly, 2 people are together, all day, every day. in a space that was designed around their previous schedule, not this one. Research from Bowling Green State University shows that the gray divorce rate, divorce among couples over 50, has doubled since 1990. And relationship counselors consistently identify the first 2 years of retirement as the highest risk period for couples who have been together for decades. Not because the relationship was broken, because the structure that held it in a comfortable shape disappeared, and nobody had a plan for what to do with unlimited togetherness. The financial cost of this is enormous. A couple approaching retirement with $800,000 in combined assets who divorce in year 2 of retirement will each emerge with approximately $360,000 after legal costs, division of property, and the transaction costs of separating a financial life that was built together over 3 decades. From $800,000 to $360,000 each, at 63, with limited time and limited energy to rebuild. Nobody warned them that the relationship needed a retirement plan too, not just the money, the structure, the time, the individual purpose that each person needs to bring to a shared life. Because 2 people without individual purpose spending unlimited time together is a different kind of pressure than any marriage was designed to handle. Number 4. The social life that wasn't there. Here's something worth stopping on. Researchers who study adult friendship consistently find that most people make their last close friend, the kind of friend who knows everything, who calls without a reason, who shows up without being asked, somewhere around their mid-20s. After that, friendships exist, but they're maintained by proximity, by the shared environment of work, by colleagues who become familiar through hours of daily contact, by the social infrastructure that employment quietly provides. Work provides approximately 6 hours of social contact per day. Retirement removes those 6 hours. And the friends who existed through work, the colleagues, the regular lunches, the conversations in corridors, largely disappear with it. Not because anyone intended that, simply because the proximity that created and maintained those connections no longer exists. AARP research found that 47% of adults over 50 report feeling lonely. Not occasionally, consistently. And the health implications are documented by research from psychologist Julianne Holt-Lundstad at Brigham Young University, whose work found that chronic loneliness carries a health impact equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes per day. 15 cigarettes every day. From a condition that retirement can create almost automatically in people who never saw it coming, because their social life was built on a foundation that the retirement date dismantled. Nobody told Gen X to build a social life outside of work. They had 30 years to do it. Most of them didn't, because work was always there, and the problem was always future. Number 5. The purpose that has to be rebuilt from scratch. Here's the last thing nobody warned them about. The first month of retirement feels like vacation. The second month feels slightly less like vacation. By month 3 or 4, something shifts. The freedom that was supposed to feel like arrival starts to feel like directionlessness. The empty calendar stops feeling like liberation and starts feeling like a problem without a solution. Research published by the Institute of Economic Affairs in 2013 found that retirement increases the risk of clinical depression by approximately 40% and the likelihood of being prescribed medication for mental health conditions by approximately 60%. The effect was most pronounced in the first 12 to 18 months. Not because retirement is inherently bad, because the transition from decades of structure and purpose to an open, unstructured life is genuinely difficult, and almost nobody prepares for it as a psychological challenge. Gen X prepared for retirement financially. Almost none of them prepared for it psychologically. They calculated the number, structured the accounts, planned the withdrawal rate, and then arrived at the first Monday morning with no alarm set and no plan for what the day was actually for. The financial plan said, "You're ready." The Monday morning asked a different question entirely. The warning that never came. Here's what nobody said before the date arrived. Retirement isn't a destination, it's a transition. And like any significant transition, it requires preparation that goes beyond the financial. The identity needs to be rebuilt around something other than a title. The spending plan needs to reflect how retirement is actually lived, not how it was imagined from a desk. The relationship needs new structure. The social life needs to be built deliberately, not assumed to exist. The purpose needs to be found, not waited for. None of these things are in the retirement calculator. All of them determine whether retirement feels like the reward it was supposed to be or a problem nobody anticipated. Gen X planned for the money. The rest of it is the part that was supposed to figure itself out. It doesn't. Give me your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.